you for joining me today and agreeing to be interviewed.
Thank you very much, Magenta. I'm delighted to be here.
Good, lovely to have you. Okay, so you do life retuning.
Yeah.
If I could just say, my sort of higher guidance, the 9, they've spoken to me about people who are, and this is happening a lot on this planet at the moment, people who are creating their own templates in all walks of life. Yeah. And what they've described this to me as is like an alchemy. Yeah. Somebody will take a modality or a thought, an idea, a model that's already in place, and they will learn from all these different modalities and create a new template from that. Yeah. When I first met you, before we'd even spoken, I looked at you and I thought, she's one of the people that's created her own template. Do you remember me saying that?
I do remember that, yeah, absolutely.
So, it's my understanding that you have trained in kinesiology, thought field therapy and other modalities.
Yes.
So would you agree that this has been an alchemical process and that you've taken different modalities and created your own unique template, which is life retuning?
Most definitely, Magenta. Yes, I've studied form over the last 10-15 years, really, in various modalities. I learnt Reiki, for instance. That was my real introduction into energy work. The first time I understood energy in any way, shape or form. I did aromatherapy, Indian head massage, and then finally I looked into psychology and discovered thought field therapy, which really changed my view on how everything really hangs together and what's possible to actually change that we thought for a long time was impossible. So that really opened up my eyes to that. But I didn't find all the answers that I wanted, and so I have actually melded different modalities together to create a protocol that I think works tremendously well. Yes.
So when you say change things, do you mean healing people in their own
I do,
life?
yeah, absolutely. The sort of stuck problems that people have been told for a long time that cannot be healed, cannot be sorted, things like long-term phobias, going back to traumatic times in a person's life that they just can't let go of the pain in their minds or their hearts. These things can be cleared and can be cleared very quickly and dealt with. So we've got a complete change now in the landscape of human suffering, really, and healing.
So how does it work?
How does life retuning work? Well, first of all, whereas other therapies or modalities would work in the current moment with the current symptoms or problems, I don't.
Okay.
I work in the arena of what actually contributed to create the current problem.
Right.
Because the current problem is an illusion created by the mind for a particular reason. And the reason is that it wants us to survive. It's a very basic, raw reason. Going back to our caveman days, really, our minds haven't really progressed an awful lot biologically, although in a civilization point of view, we've progressed tremendously in technology, but our minds biologically haven't. And so there is no fine-tuning there. If a threat is perceived by the mind, it will flag it as a threat, as a harmful situation. So what would happen is that you'd have an experience which was not pleasant. And the mind would flag that as harmful and take those factors, what I call, take a snapshot in time, and what I call a capsule of consciousness. So that means all states that you are in that current moment are recorded for posterity. And when it recognises a situation which has those crude factors again, it will trigger the same reaction that you had previously. So this is cumulative, and every time this happens, the pattern gets deeper and deeper and deeper until it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, because you're already waiting for that fear to happen or that anxiety. What I do, if you imagine an email thread, you have the top comment, which is like the current problem. That top comment was created by all of the other comments in that email thread. Now if you knock out all of those comments, the top comment goes. And so what I do with the life retuning is I can track and find all of those what I term seed traumas, where the mind flagged it as harmful, change the energy to harmless, and the mind is actually comforted to say, well, actually, I don't need that problem anymore. So without even working with the current problem in the situation, the problem disappears. And a client will, when I take them into the current moment, will say, typically, oh, I can't feel that anymore. That's how it works.
So is the physical manifestation of, say, illness or disease in the body, is that a manifestation of this original thought or seed or idea that could be anywhere?
Yes, it is. Yeah, absolutely, because energy travels inwards. We all have an aura or an energy field, and that can actually be demonstrated very quickly for anybody who doesn't actually know about it or believe it. It exists, obviously, around us. It stretches about typically 3 meters away from us, and that's a healthy aura or energy field. And all energy travels inwards in frequencies of the actual wave frequencies of energy. So thoughts, emotions are all held in the form of wave frequency. And as energy travels inwards, it drops in that frequency level until it becomes physical. That's right. So the table that we see is not actually really there. It's just vibrating at a very similar frequency level to our physical bodies. And that's why we actually experience it as physical. But yes, thoughts and emotions will actually eventually become manifested physically.
So you talk a lot about quantum physics.
Yes.
Is what you do related to it, and if so, how is it related to quantum physics?
It's very much related to quantum physics because I do not see any distinction between a type of experience. So what I mean by is if it's emotional, physical or mental, because it's all a wave form. And quantum physics tells us that something is either a particle or a wave form. When it's in wave form, it's in potential. So you have a potential illness coming in, a potential manifestation of a negative experience coming in. When it hits the physical level is when it actually becomes manifested. But our thoughts are so powerful, Magenta, as you know, we will create our own reality. Now, if that is a negative belief, say, I don't deserve to be happy, you will actually create that. And the reason we're creating it is because we are taking our focus onto that waveform that's in our aura, and we're actually creating it physically, and it will manifest in the third dimension for us. So that's one of the ways that quantum physics actually comes very much into life retuning.
So did you have to study quantum physics first before you alchemically created life retuning, or was this coming to you naturally through your own awareness of your own energetic field?
It very much worked hand in hand. I feel that I was being given lessons, if you like, but I've always been scientifically minded, so I've been fascinated by science, and for many years that sort of dropped out of my life. But I think really the moment where I started really reconnecting with it was when I watched What the Bleep Do We Know? Yeah. And of course it brought it all back, and then I started reading some books to really get to the nitty-gritty of the laws of quantum physics. And the more I read, the more I actually understood. It became clearer and clearer to me what was happening energetically, certainly as you say, in my life. And I could track the patterns of negative behaviour that was creating situations that I didn't want to be in. So yes, it very much came hand in hand with that.
Excellent. Somebody asked me the other day, somebody said to me, how do I know, Magenta, where I am spiritually in this ascension process, or in evolution or enlightenment? Yeah. How can I tell where I am? I was talking to this person about the restructuring of the DNA and right. The dimensions. Yeah. And this person was saying to me, without knowing all about quantum physics and science, how do I know where I am personally? And I replied, your emotional state will tell you where you are in this process. You don't need to learn all these complicated models. Your emotions are your sort of framework. Would you say this is the way, with life retuning, I mean, how important are the emotions in life retuning with the client?
Very, very important. You know, our emotions are amazing. because they are like a roadmap to healing. If we pay attention to our emotions and we're not happy with the way we feel, well, we're going to do something about it, aren't we? So if you are unhappy, you're saying, feeling anxious about something, if you can actually track in your energy field where that comes from, do a retune on it, knock out that email thread if you like, then the anxiety disappears. And you will go from the emotional mind into the logical mind, because the emotional and the logical cannot be switched on at the same time. It's a biological impossibility. So that's where we get solutions for our life, is when the emotions are actually switched off. Right. So it's very important.
So yes. When you look at the energetic system of a client, are you looking at the chakras? How do the chakras come into life retuning?
The chakras are very important because chakras resonate on particular frequencies. We know that obviously they resonate with different colours. Well, colour, emotion and sound are all similar resonances. So we say, don't we, that I saw red, which means that I was angry, and that resonates with the root chakra. So emotion, colour and frequency are all there. We know innately, we've known for a long time about the colours and the resonance with the chakras, chakric energy. Chakric energy is very important, because when you experience something that I could term a seed trauma or an unpleasant experience, and the mind takes a snapshot, it will take a snapshot of every state, including the chakric state. So when I'm working with somebody, it's very important for me, once I've actually retuned a problem, to check in with the chakras to make sure that they are taken back into a place of alignment, out of the disharmonious placement that they went into at the time that experience actually happened. So they are important on that level. Also, I've developed a very fast technique of sort of shortcutting to find out which chakras are out of alignment. I have a colour test, and I will ask a client to look at the colours, and whichever one seems too flat or sharp, or they're not happy with, is exactly where the problem is, because it's resonating with that particular chakra. So what I will do then is go in and retune the chakra, and I have found this to happen every single time so far. Maybe it won't happen once, but so far it's always happened, that when they look at the colour again, it's like they're looking at a different colour. It's extraordinary, but it works. So that's the way in a treatment session I will actually immediately go to the place where that emotional turbulence is happening, and I will be very accurately pinpointing then to say whether it's something to do with relationships with regards to the green and the heart chakra, or it could be the third eye, the indigo they didn't like, and therefore they're locked down to their higher self, and that needs working on. So it's very, very important for me, absolutely.
So does the client's body know where there's an out of alignment aspect? So if somebody looks at this colour chart, yeah, and one colour doesn't seem to merge with the others in alignment, and seems sharp or dense or flat, as, yeah, you say, is that because their body just instinctively is resonating with this colour? So their body knows, even though they consciously may not know what is wrong with them, yeah, or where they've got an issue, the body does know. Is that how you work? Yeah,
the body and the aura, because of course the chakric energy is, it's like a vortex, it sends energy out and pulls it in all the time. So that is in direct connection with the aura, and so the whole of the person's consciousness is aware at every time, every moment of their existence, what is actually going on. Our consciousness is incredible. We're only just starting to realise. A lot of scientists are doing now research into quantum consciousness. There's Dr. Anit Goswami, for instance, who's doing some amazing work into the physics of the soul. That's the latest book that he's written. So we are starting to understand really how incredible that conscious awareness is, and yes, we know innately what is going on, we're just not listening. That's the problem.
Yeah. So can someone do this themselves? I mean, do they have to come to you, or can they learn to do life retuning?
Yes, they can learn to do life retuning. A client would not be able to do what I do. They are given, normally what I do is just give them some little techniques that I have, brought out of that session, for instance, which are unique to them and for
Right.
their healing, that they can take away and continue the healing for themselves. But I run courses where I qualify other people, I train other people in these very powerful, accurate techniques. So yes, it's available, and if anybody wants to know more, if they'd like to visit my website, I'm running them regularly now, and they will be going online. The course will be going online pretty soon as well, so it'll be going global.
Okay. So, I mean, I've read your story that you've got
Yeah.
on your website, and we'll put a link to that in the edit. How did you, I mean, I've read your story, but what made you initially move into this place of healing yourself and eventually taking the journey to discover and create Life Retuning? What triggered it? Was it a trauma in you?
It most certainly was. I mean, I can't believe how unconsciously and reactively I was actually living. I was doing everything wrong. I was eating wrong, I had the wrong kind of relationship, my workplace was the wrong place to be in, I had no spiritual dimension to my life. I was doing just about everything I could to sabotage my happiness and my health, period. So I got to a point where something just had to give, and what gave was me. So I got to this place where suddenly everything just collapsed around me. I developed panic attacks, which became very regular, and I had those. They're very scary for 5 or 6 months, day after day after day, and every time I thought I was dying. So I went through that death process many, many times. I really thought my life was over. I thought I would end up in a lunatic asylum, or I was just going to die from one of the panic attacks. Very, very scary times. And of course what it did was it kicked me into a place where I had to start finding some solutions for feeling better. And I think pain is the best motivator really that we have, because we can, as I say, that we can do without pleasure, but we can't live with pain, not long term. It kicks us into a place where we have to start finding those answers. And for me, I started very conventionally. I went to my doctor. I was booked in to see a psychotherapist, which took about 3 months. I was on the waiting list. By that time I was in meltdown, complete meltdown. So that didn't really solve anything for me. And after that initial period where I realised that that was not going to help me, I started looking further afield. And I was living a very orthodox life. I never would have imagined going and looking at aromatherapy or Reiki or any of those things. But then I started pushing further and further afield and started reading as well. And just found more and more of the complementary therapies. But the problem was that they weren't answering my need either. And it was only really until I discovered the energy psychology, the thought field therapy, which was 6 years into my breakdown, which was really severely bad, because I thought, I was 24 years old, I thought that was it, life over, game over, I know not have a life, I'm just going to exist from day to day until I drop dead one day, that's it. Awful place to be in. No hope, you know, nothing really going on for me at all. And I read a small article about this therapy called thought field therapy that apparently said if you tap on various points in your body, you're going to switch off deep anxiety. And I thought, yeah, right. Yeah, you know, Star Trek stuff here. I think I know the fact that, you know, tapping on my body is not going to switch off the stuff that I've been going through for 6 years. So I thought it was mental, but I went along and I tried it, and in fact it was miraculous, because it was switching off anxiety and fear that I've been struggling for years with. And you know, even the thought of something would send me into a panic attack. And I don't know whether your viewers ever experienced this, but when you are so scared about something happening, you can't even voice it. You can't even say the word, because it's so terrifying that you think you're just going to go into that state, even if you speak the words. Well, I was in that state. I was really, really crazy. I was terrified of running out of oxygen. I was seriously thinking of getting myself an oxygen tank so that I would take that round with myself. I mean, completely crazy stuff. So this session switched off some of those fears and anxieties straight away for me. And I thought, wow, this is something different. This is actually working. So for me, you can imagine it was just like a miracle. It was like being given a, get out of jail free card suddenly. I can start my life again. So it was tremendous, and I really got involved with the thought field therapy. I trained quite quickly because I was already a therapist. My problems had led me into qualifying in aromatherapy, Indian head massage, Reiki, and various other things. And so I qualified quite quickly, and then I started getting clients. And for several years, that was great because I qualified up to the highest level. I became a top international trainer. I was training others in these techniques. I trained several times with Dr. Roger Callahan, who I respect tremendously for bringing thought field therapy, into the world and helping so many people. But I got to a point where it wasn't answering every question that I had. So that's really where Life Retuning started from.
Right. Wow, thank you for sharing that. Is that healed now? There
are just a couple of pockets that, being honest with you, I'm still working through. But I see it as a situation where I am being pushed to find even further answers. So there is still a need for these issues that I'm dealing with. But I have to say that I'm a completely different person. You wouldn't recognise who I was 16 years ago compared to who I am now. I have changed, healed so fundamentally on a deep level that it is just wonderful, and I feel so blessed that I am in this place now where I can actually be totally clear with my energy, and it's led me into other realms, if you like.
Yeah. You mentioned the viewers of this interview,
yeah,
and whether they've ever experienced this. And what I would say is the 9 have said to me many times that all natural healers go through a personal healing journey.
Very much so.
And it's the taking responsibility for your own health rather than delegating it to someone else that creates a magical switch and turns you into the healer. And as you heal yourself, you heal others. And I would have thought that the majority of people that are drawn to this interview and the videos that I have on my channel would be natural healers.
Indeed,
I would say above
yes.
90% of the people who watch my videos, if not all of them.
So they would have gone through very similar things.
They would have been through a journey
yes,
themselves like this, and many of them will have come out with their own templates, maybe not necessarily in traditional healing, because there's music and sound and other forms of creativity that also draw this healing forward.
Very much so, yeah.
But you mentioned self-sabotage, that's what you were doing. Can you explain to me what you mean by self-sabotage?
Sure. Well, self-sabotage is a situation, where you say, I'm never doing that again. Whatever it is. It could be drinking wine, it could be shouting at somebody, whatever it is. You say, that is never going to happen again. And before you know it, it's happened. And you think, why? We don't understand why we actually create that behaviour again. It's a pattern of behaviour that is imprinted into our aura and into our consciousness, but it's on the subconscious level, because only 10% of our mind, as I'm sure many of your viewers know, is conscious. The rest is all subconscious and superconscious awareness. So we cannot bring that up to the surface and understand it on a logical level, because it just doesn't compute on that level. So that is what self-sabotage is.
And does this work with addictions, people who want to go into weight loss and can't seem to lose weight?
Absolutely.
All those sort of things.
Yeah.
So how can Life Retuning help someone who's in a cycle of self-sabotage?
Okay, well firstly, because it's a tracking system, as I mentioned, I just literally allow the energy field to take me to all those places in the person's aura where seed traumas are held. You see, the thing is that the consciousness will place seed traumas in various layers of the aura. So I work with 8 layers, and I can find out the coordinates of that seed trauma, i.e. what I mean by that is when it happened in a person's life and where it's held. Once I've got those coordinates, we can take the conscious focus to that layer and that time in the person's life, and then we just diagnose and do a retune. So we just keep knocking out those disharmonious frequencies until the aura says to me, right, that's it, there isn't any more. And that tends to actually break that pattern, because again, we come back to the same thing. The mind no longer needs that behaviour pattern.
Mm-hmm. So you're saying about superconscious and subconscious stored traumas and memories. Does that relate to what people would know as past lives, or does it relate to quantum aspects of oneself that's in another reality? Does life retuning touch that whole energetic sphere of the quantum world, the past lives, even the future possibilities? I mean, if somebody hasn't actually had anything happen to them, and there's a future possibility that they might, that say in another lifetime, even in the future rather than the past, and I know that they are one, does life retuning go that deep into all those areas?
Magenta, it does, and the reason is because I work with, if you like, the akashic records or the energy matrix. Now that means every single experience from every time in anybody's existence is recorded as a wave frequency, and with life retuning there are no boundaries. So when we talk about, you mentioned past life, yes, past life trauma that we can bring through which will affect our current life can be tracked, the same as a trauma from this lifetime. I make no distinction at all, and in fact in a tracking, in that email sequence, you might find that one of those is actually a past life trauma. But if it's just flagged up as a past life trauma, it just gets dealt with the same as any other seed trauma. So for me there's no distinction, whereas for instance with other techniques you would need to go into trance state, you would need to actually bypass the conscious mind to bring up the superconscious or the subconscious. With life retuning that does not happen, because energy is there all the time and therefore can be read all the time.
Why did you name it life retuning? Is the retune metaphorically linked to music, the scale?
It is in a way. It's actually because of the tuning fork is my symbol, because another very important part of the laws of quantum physics, if you like, is something called quantum entanglement and sympathetic resonance. Now this comes into why other people affect us, and one of the reasons why I believe passionately we should actually get rid of all our negative emotions as much as possible, because what we do is we resonate with another person's negative vibrations. So for instance, somebody comes into the room and they are angry. If you're holding the frequency of anger, what happens is that when two wave frequencies come together and they're the same, then they do one of two things. They either cancel each other out or they will amplify. And when they amplify, that's when you feel really pissed now, you feel really mad, because that person has just amplified your anger inside you.
Right.
So the tuning fork is a symbol for that sympathetic resonance, because when you set up a tuning fork to ring that's pitched at C, and you hold another tuning fork that's pitched at C, the second one will start resonating on its own. And that's why it's life retuning, because by retuning frequencies, if you then hold up a fork that resonates at C and another one that resonates at D, that one's not doing anything, because you've got no resonance going on. So that's one of the big reasons why it's called life retuning.
So is this very much related to, the nine talk to me about the law of magnetic attraction, and they say to me that the word magnetic is important to put into the law of attraction phrase, because we are like magnets to energy.
Absolutely, we are. And you were talking about future lives, where it's possible to affect future lives of people. Yes, it is. I'm actually developing a system of helping people manifest better. And again, I'm working with wave frequencies, because if there's a match-up between what is now and what they want, then there's a percentage either of match-up or discrepancy. And what I do is I work with pushing up the percentage of probability that there's a direct match. And when that happens, then you've got a clear line of energy that is going to actually manifest what the person wants. So in that sense, yes, absolutely, we can work with that.
So you're explaining the law of attraction, really, how it works with your own energetic field in a more scientific way.
Absolutely. I believe that I've kind of got to understand the guts of energy, if you like, and the way it works. And I'm seeing it manifesting really with clients every day. So yes, it is a very scientific way of looking at it. I don't really see myself in a way as a therapist anymore. Maybe I'm more of a facilitator or an empowerment coach, if you like. That would be the level I would describe myself on.
Energy worker?
Absolutely, or master of energy, really, because I've been doing it for a long time. And,
wizard from the green forest.
Absolutely. Yes.
Definitely a wizard. To get you a little Merlin's hat.
Yeah, and the cloak.
So, talking more spiritually, because obviously the viewers of my videos are kind of in that framework, which is everything you've said. And obviously the blend of science and spirituality is equal. So
yes,
what you're saying is so in resonance with my work. But if someone were to come to you and they're fully aware that going through traumas and raising their own sort of darkness and hidden aspects, if you like, into light is part of the process, what if they said to you, my focus is to move into enlightenment, into a process of enlightenment, I want to ascend, I want to raise to a higher frequency, and this involves, I know, my DNA, I want to restructure my DNA strands, I want to raise more awareness so that my brain is using a higher capacity, meaning this subconscious and superconscious aspect becomes more seen to the brain. Can life retuning help with that?
Yes, because firstly, when we let go of the lower frequency emotions like anger, fear, anxiety, it's possible for the whole system to raise up the frequency levels, so you are actually vibrating at a higher frequency the more you let go of this negative level of emotions. So immediately you then become open to a higher level connection in with source energy. And if you like, if you work with the angelic realms, if you work with guides and spirits, you will be much more able to access that sort of level of higher energetic consciousness. So even from my personal life, I have found that has happened. So I'm working at a very, very high vibrational frequency level now, and it does change the way that you view things. You have, if you like, a helicopter or an overview of human situations, so you see it much wider, a wider context. So I would say number one is really deal with that dross, deal with the baggage you're carrying around. That's number one. Number two, you will become consciously awake to yourself doing the life retuning, because you'll understand what is going on in your aura, what is going on in your chakras, and you will be able to identify things that come in. So for instance, I deal with things like energy toxins, things that you eat, drink, inhale, they could be people too, somebody in your environment or something in your environment that adversely impacts your energy field. When you've been doing the life retuning, you actually know when that's happened. It's almost like you can pinpoint it's come into your aura, and you look at it and go, oh, there's something going on here. There's a disharmony set up. So you become much more aware of you.
And is this happening to you with your work? I mean, you were saying you felt that you were working at a high level. Are you feeling that you can personify these higher energies? Obviously it is your own auric field, but can you perceive this as archetypes and guides? Are you working with that aspect?
I am very much now, and it's a very clear channel. And I mean, you know, we use the word channeling. I've been told now by several people that I am actually channeling. So, and you, yes, exactly. And you know, I'm now recognising that that is what I'm doing.
Yeah.
But it's almost like a constant open channel for me. I'm not intending to channel, it just comes in. So I feel like I'm existing really in an altered state of reality most of the time, because I have a very high level of viewpoint, if you like, of things. It doesn't even feel like the human level anymore. It just feels a very much higher consciousness level that I have actually attained now
Yeah.
through clearing, because I clear every single day. If something happens to me, I will sit with it for a few minutes and I will understand the lesson, if you like, that this is teaching me.
Mm.
Once I've understood the lesson, I say, right, that's it. Now I'm going to retune it and, you know, say goodbye to it with love and light and the lesson that I've learnt, but now it goes. And I do that every single day. So I'm constantly raising my frequency levels, keeping it clear.
And the word channeling can be
Yeah.
misleading, because I know that there are lots of people who are very drawn to that and they want to channel themselves, so they are finding ways to do it.
Yes.
There are an equal number of people who the word channeling puts them off. They don't want to know all that. They want the science, the nuts and the bolts. They want the proof and something more grounded.
Yeah.
And I think you and I, what's so interesting is, since we have connected, since we've met, you can see by talking to me that you are channeling. And I can see by talking to you that I am not channeling. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We are not channeling and we are channeling.
Yeah.
It depends which way you want to look at it.
Yeah,
So,
I suppose, yes.
you know, are these beings that have their own consciousness that are coming to us and communicating with us, or have we raised, as you're saying, through the life retuning path, moved through all these issues, wherever they may be, taken our frequency higher and learned to work with our own subconscious and superconscious and our DNA and our aura?
Yeah.
It's one and the same thing.
It's a
So-
fascinating question, and I do believe it's one and the same thing,
Yeah.
because all is energy. And Einstein said everything is energy, that's all there is to it. There is no matter. It's just, you know, another vibrational frequency. So if that is the case, and I truly believe it is, and through my work I'm validating that, then yes, absolutely, both of that is happening at the same time, in the same space.
Yeah. So there are lots of modalities out there, thank goodness.
Yeah.
Lots and lots of people there, wonderful healers who've worked their whole life for this path to help people now. More than ever, people are moving through these blocks so that they can raise and move into this genius state, if you like, restructure the DNA, awaken to higher consciousness. So what you do is, on one level, the same as what I'm doing, the same as what anyone working with energy is doing, but on another level, what you do is unique, because it is your unique template.
Yes.
It has its own energy signature, its own fingerprint that is just life retuning.
Yes.
So what makes it different from other modalities? And I know that other modalities are, as I said, similar.
Yes,
But what makes it so unique?
I think one of the main things that makes it unique is that even if a client doesn't know about something that's happened, say, when they were 10 years old, on the conscious level, the energy will reveal it. So it actually doesn't make any difference. It doesn't matter if my client knows it or doesn't know it. It can still be retuned. The fascinating thing is, once that's retuned, when you get the person to think about the current problem, the level's already dropped. They already don't feel as bad. And that's quite extraordinary, to be dealing with something that they have no awareness of at all, and yet it makes a change in the current moment. So I think it is this ability to go on any level of consciousness and find and track very accurately what the reason is, those seed traumas for creating the current moment's problem. And it is very accurate. What I find is that people think I am channeling or I'm using my intuition, because I can say to them, something happened at 22 years old, and it's an emotional memory, and they'll say, oh my God, I've never told anybody about that. But yes, something did happen. And the other thing is that you don't have to talk about it, because it's all on the energy level. Therefore, it's not a talking or a logical minded treatment. It's literally just working with those frequencies. So I think that's what makes it unique.
And when you do a life retune, are you aware that you are using thought field therapy 1 minute, colour therapy the next, or have you literally taken the colour therapy, the thought field therapy, the kinesiology, and actually created a blend of all three when you do the retune?
Yeah, it's a total blend. Apart from anything else, I use points off the body as well as on the body, which thought field therapy, no other tapping modality I believe uses. But I work in the aura with points actually out there, and that makes it very different. So it does meld, because the protocol I've developed takes little bits and puts them into different contexts, the way that I actually work with it with a client.
So does it work with the meridian systems of the body?
Yes, it works with the meridian systems on the body, but it also works with the chakras, and some of those chakras are not the normal, usual 7 chakras that most people work with. I actually work with 12 chakras, but some of those are actually outside in the aura, so they're not on the body. And I've found that those have come into alignment where I've been working with clients, and I've been looking for the next point to actually use, and I've not found it. So I've then thought, well, if it's not there, then it's got to be somewhere else. And from that and experimenting, I've actually found these points that have been located in the actual aura.
So these chakras, are they a system that you have created in order to help you work, or are these chakras that are actually there with everyone? Is this a 12 chakra system? Yeah, they're there with everybody, and they come into the tapping system. Right. So I might get somebody to tap above their head, or they might be tapping out here or somewhere else in their aura, because that is where they need to tap. That's where that point is located in the sequence. So can you tell how far someone is merged with the higher self, or how far someone is aware of the light body aspect? Can you work with someone to see where their work needs to be in order to activate the light body? Yes, because you can focus your question, if you like, into the energy field at any point. So wherever you start from, you will get the chain of the answers coming. So it's like literally a holographic way of working. You can start at any point and end up where you need to be. So if I'm working with somebody and looking at their spiritual aspect, I will simply start with that, and the energy field will then reveal to me what needs to be done. Do people pick this up easily at your courses? What if they don't know any healing modality, they haven't studied quantum physics, they haven't really been into any kind of spiritual work, they're complete beginners? Can they pick this up? Absolutely. Anybody can learn life retuning. It's a protocol. It doesn't use intuition, it doesn't use assumption, it doesn't use templates of symptoms. What it does is literally allow the energy field to take you where you need to go. Once you've learned the protocol, that's it. You're communicating with the energy field directly through the body. And that's like a language. So once you learn that language, you're fluent. And are you having success with your personal clients? Incredible success. Incredible success. I'm finding that life retuning is the answer for chronic problems that people have been struggling with for years, and it's going within minutes. I mean, really, just it blows my mind, let alone anybody else's, what's actually happening now with the life retuning. Yeah. So Ildiko, you've spoken to me before about past life vows. Yeah. Now, I'm not really sure what you mean by that. I know myself, I have a past life memory where I made a vow. Is that what you mean, that someone has actually consciously made a vow or a promise in a past life, and they've carried that through energetically to their lives? And can these vows be detrimental to them? And can you explain what you mean by a past life vow? Yes, that's exactly what I mean. Okay. It's about vows that we have taken in previous lives or incarnations that are not helpful or healthful to us in this lifetime. A very typical type of vow is a vow of poverty, which many people would have taken in holy orders, for instance, when at that time it was totally appropriate for that lifetime. But what tends to happen is once we take one vow, we tend to create the same pattern. And because I work through past life trauma and patterns very quickly with the life retuning, I can pick up on these patterns from lifetime to lifetime. And you won't typically have had taken one vow. You'll probably take about 5 or 6, because each lifetime following that
you will create your own reality and you will get yourself into a place where you're taking on the vow of poverty. So when people watch things like The Secret, they're only getting half the story, because they're not looking at the pattern embedded in their energy field, which is saying to them when they're trying to attract abundance in, no, that's not for you, you said that wasn't for you, what are you doing? Out. So they're never going to attract it. Yes. So what I discovered, and I discovered it through myself, really I use my own aura as my laboratory, my experimental laboratory, was that when I started looking at past life traumas, and I worked that through myself, and I discovered that I could actually release myself from past life traumas, I thought, wow, let's have a look at what else is going on here, because I could never attract abundance in, ever. And I thought, well, there's something going on here. So I just asked a few questions from my energy field, and very quickly it revealed to me I was holding 8 past life vows of poverty.
Right.
Uh-oh. No wonder I wasn't attracting the abundance in.
Right.
So what I did was I went in and checked with my technique where those vows were held, i.e. which lifetimes they were actually held in. And I then worked to retune the vow energy, because you know, again from quantum physics, that the observer affects the observed. So what that means is that when we take our intention or attention to a particular place, the wave frequency of potentiality will become a solid particle of manifested reality. That's how it works. So in these past lives where I would have taken these vows, they would have been witnessed, probably by my fellow monks or nuns or whoever, so it would embed even more deeply into my energy field. So I realised that I had to take my intention into my energy field and find that vow frequency and then retune it out by the methods I use. And so I went through and did this for all of the 8 vows. And I said afterwards, right, okay, here we go. If this has really worked, then show me in a way that I can't possibly misunderstand or misinterpret. Well, the next day I had an event to go to, a social event, and there was a prize draw. And I bought 2 tickets, and the first ticket came up, it was mine, and it was a week-long holiday for 2 in Marrakesh. Now, bearing in mind I've never won anything before in my life, so I thought, oh Lord, I've done something here. And the next ticket came up and I won a 2-hour business coaching session. So both tickets netted me some abundance. And from that day on, I can tell you it has never stopped. Everything that I wish to manifest, I now manifest. And I've done this for clients time and time again. You know, we hold vows, and they will be vows, for instance, of poverty, chastity, abstinence. Silence may be allegiance. If you were a soldier, you might have a redundant vow of allegiance to a particular country. You might be drawn back to that country, but you don't know why. So all these vows were great and made for the right reasons. But when we're in this lifetime, they are redundant. And it's very important to ask the energy field and the higher consciousness whether it is the time to release these vows. And I do that in a very, very safe way. But once this work is done, people will completely change their attitude to money, relationships, you know, work, everything and anything. It's quite amazing how powerful it actually is.
What about global vows or global energy? For example, many people, if not all people, somewhere I have found, everyone I've worked with and when I look globally, there is a persecution energy within the human race.
Yeah.
And I feel that this has come from, I'm talking about persecution specifically for their spiritual beliefs, because the planetary system's been trying to, if you like, metaphorically raise for a long time.
Yes.
So the mission has been far longer than just one lifetime, and there are many people who've come in with spiritual truths or spiritual missions, and they've been persecuted for those beliefs because that energy's been pushed down. For example, the crucifixion frequency, you know, the Jesus Christ story, whether it's true or whether it's metaphor, doesn't matter from the issue
No,
of the
not
symbol
from
of
energy.
it. So all of us seem to have taken on some level, this persecution, this crucifixion. Can that be freed through life retuning?
The answer to that is yes. I mean, Carl Jung came up with the concept of collective consciousness, and I very much firmly believe that that is something that exists. It's a force field of collective experiential energy frequencies. I mean, I have actually done, personally, I have done some work on the collective consciousness for the West that was created during World War II. I've been clearing trauma from that consciousness field now for a couple of years. So that's just a personal thing I do. But I do believe that maybe it would be worth for a few of us to tune into the consciousness field of humanity, find this persecution level of frequency and just start freeing it and retuning it. So I absolutely believe it's possible, yes.
The Nine have spoken to me about creating your own blueprint from this level. What they've said to me is the death process, the death reincarnational cycle, is where you leave the physical body, and then when you move back into the place of soul or energy matrix, and you remember all the lifetimes, gather everything together, create a blueprint for the next lifetime, and then go back in, metaphorically, however that works. What I've been told is we are now, that's what this ascension process is, we're doing it differently, en masse. We're doing it from this level. We don't have to leave the physical body. We can do it all from this level. So we can create our blueprint and work through all those past life issues from here. It seems to me, and I wonder if you could confirm this, that life retuning is actually helping someone to be able to create their own blueprint from this level.
Very much so. Because we're able to deal with past life trauma, clearing that. We can deal with past life vows, we can clear that. We can clear anything from this lifetime. And what we are doing is literally, retuning that blueprint, but from the consciousness level, the level of being consciously awake and aware. So we can make choices. We can even look at soul contracts, and if it's the right time to make a change or an adjustment there, then we can even do that through working with the energy. So yes, I absolutely agree with that. We don't have to go out of our bodies anymore. We can change things in this reality, in this life.
What about work with extra-terrestrial energy? If someone has memory of other lifetimes where they're not human as such and on other planetary systems, or if they might have had an abduction scenario memory, or simply if they want to connect with the extraterrestrial aspect of themselves, can life retuning work on that level as well?
It can certainly release the person from any negative memory that they might have had if it was an abduction memory, for instance. The energetic wavelength will be there. It will be embedded in the aura somewhere, and I can actually find it. And because it's energy, the same as anything else, it can be retuned and it can be changed in the person's conscious mind. If they wish to connect in with extraterrestrial energy, I think really that's through the route of intention. To place an intention into their conscious mind to say, this is what I wish to do, and therefore that should actually carry them and take them through to that level where they should be able to connect.
Do they clear blocks before they make that wish?
Most definitely. The manifestation process is more complicated than we've been really led to believe. And what we must do first is clear any self-limiting beliefs, anxieties about getting what we want, because most people actually manifest what they most fear, which is not great. And the reason that happens is because underlying the affirmation of I want this or I want to achieve that is probably a self-limiting belief saying I don't actually think I deserve that, I don't think it's going to happen, so therefore it doesn't happen. And if we can clear that, then we have a total 100% alignment with what is now and what we want to manifest. And so therefore the end point of that is to put in an affirmation. That's where an affirmation should come, when you've done all the clearing work first. That is then just an empowerment tool, if you like, a focus tool to make sure that you are absolutely intending the right thing that you want. But it shouldn't really come at the beginning, because then you're going to just mess up the frequencies and you're not going to get anywhere.
So what you're saying is, if I have got several unexplored issues and blocks, persecution, crucifixion, poverty issues in me, and I want to go manifest something, so I visualise a nice house or a holiday or health, or I create a vision board and put pictures in of Ferraris and sunny beaches, I'm not going to get that because of all this stuff down here. Is that what you're saying?
You might get something, but you won't get what you really want. Beware what you wish for is something that's said, isn't it? And I absolutely believe that's true.
Because when I put out visualisation, I'm actually attracting what's down here as well without knowing.
That's right.
I couldn't agree with you more.
Murky currents of the subconscious. We've got to clear them.
I couldn't agree with you more. When it's you're magnetic on every level.
Most
every level.
Most
and I also say to people that want to move into channeling, the same thing. Work on these issues first, because if you're going up, you're going to attract an energetic frequency, a being, a persona, a spirit being that matches these unexplored issues as well as
yes, that's right. And you know, it's just important on every level really to clear, because that way we actually connect with our real truth, our real selves. Because what we see in others, in ourselves, in the world, is a distorted vision. It's distorted by our self-limiting beliefs and our fears. We don't have clear sight. You know, when you're speaking to somebody, do you actually listen to what they're saying? Are you actually seeing them as they are, or are you seeing them as you think they are? Because if you're seeing them as you think they are, you're not seeing them, and you're not hearing them. So that's another thing, that with life retuning, you get a clear line of sight. You can really see what's actually there in yourself and others.
So can you tune or life retune the planetary system, Earth herself?
Well, that's a tall order, but I believe it's possible.
I don't necessarily mean you and you alone, but what I mean is, and I ask this to everyone I interview, if you have an ability to tune into the energetic frequency of the Earth, can you work out whether we have a positive future on this planet, or can you somehow influence getting a positive future on this planet?
You know, we don't realise how powerful we actually are, and the problem with that is that we are powerful negatively as well as positively. If we look at it positively, we have total control. We could change things here, now, this very second. The vibrational frequency is rising anyway, because there are more and more people actually consciously aware and awake to themselves, and they're putting this amazing energy out there. So there is more and more of this powerful healing energy and change energy out there for the positive. And I believe that, you know, we've got a very positive future. I think the aberrations and the glitches that are happening now are almost like the death throes of the old type of energy. But because the frequencies have risen so much, this old type of energy is not working anymore. It won't connect in, it won't work anymore. So the buttons are being pressed by certain people, but it's like, well, why am I not getting the effect anymore? So I think it's absolutely possible, and it is happening already. So the more we do this work, the more we are actually creating a positive future.
Can you talk about this 12 chakra model that you work with? Can you name these chakras, or can you tell me what colours they are? Yeah,
sure. Okay, so we have the chakras that everybody will be aware of, but one of the ones I work with is the Earth chakra, which I believe some people are working with already. It's a foot below the feet, and I pick up that it's a sort of brown and turquoise stripy energy. I don't know why, but that seems to be coming through.
Like a crystal? So, there are some crystals that are like that, aren't there?
That's right, exactly like that, like fluorite, I think is one of them. So that's a foot below our feet. Then obviously we've got the traditional ones, which are the root, sacral, solar plexus, heart, throat, third eye, crown. Then I work with the halo chakra, which is a foot above our head, which is gold, golden energy, like the halos that you saw around, you know, Christ and saints in the religious paintings. The foot above that is what some people term the soul star, where I term halo 2. That's a white silver energy and vibrates at a very high frequency. And then the other two that I'm working with now is what I term just heart 2. It's a working title, if you like. Is a foot out from the heart centre. Now this actually is a pink, whereas the heart chakra is green. This is actually pink, but it's sort of a pale pink. And again, it vibrates at a very high frequency, and it's about universal love. So that's come online with us now. We are able to be in contact with this energetic frequency. And the last one that I work with is third eye 2, which is a foot out from the third eye. And that is like a pale lilac colour. So those are the chakras I work with now, and those chakras will actually come into sequence. So you will have clients tapping here, and you know, visualising a foot below their feet, tapping there.
Right.
Yeah.
So do these 12 chakras align with the model of the 12 strands of the DNA that we're restructuring into?
Well, it's an interesting question, and perhaps that is correct, because I know that this work actually changes things on the cellular level, so the DNA level, if you like. We know that each cell holds what is called a microtubule, which is a little structure where they believe now, scientists believe, that quantum mechanics takes place. So this incredible place of potentiality, where things are neither one thing nor another as yet, until you take your mind's conscious awareness to program it, to give it a command. So you can change things on that level, and obviously the DNA is on that level as well. So yes, it may very well be that those 12 chakras are now working directly.
And you might be able to explain something to me then, knowing so much about the quantum physics world. Recently, somebody said to me about the 12 dimensions that had anchored onto this planet, and because I was talking about the 5th dimension, and this person said there's 12 dimensions, it's not just 5th. So I went away and spoke to the 9 and said, what's this 12th dimensional model, because you speak to me so much about 5th density. Are we now going, you know, I've only just got used to 5th density, are we going 6th and then 7th? And so the 9 came through with the answer for me, or their answer, which is some channeling that is being edited at the moment, so it may well be up on my channel already, or it might go up after this interview. I'm not sure, it depends which one gets edited first. But what they were saying is very interesting, that this is how it kind of goes, because we've got linear time. So the dimensions, the 12 dimensions, link to the 12 strands of the DNA and the 12 chakra model you're talking about. And what they're saying to me is it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Once you're in 5, you can then go 12, 2, 7, 4, because there's no linear time anymore. So the 5th dimension is why they talk about this so much.
It's a leaping
because once you're in 5th, you're not raising up a ladder into 12. The 12 dimensions are then available within the 5th dimension, because there's no time there. So from the 3rd dimension, the 12th dimension is so far in our future we couldn't possibly even envisage it. When we're in 5th dimensional consciousness, the 12th dimension could be yesterday. So would this tally up with what you're learning about quantum physics?
Yes, I think so, because, well, we know that time doesn't exist anyway. It's only a human concept in our conscious mind. So it would make sense, because they say, don't they, that past, present and future are happening all at the same time right now, in the moment. And with the life retuning, that certainly seems to be the case, because I can bring something that happened 20 years ago into the moment and deal with it now. So am I dealing with it in the past, or am I dealing with it in the present? I don't know. Does it really matter? But I think that's true, because in the 5th dimensional level of consciousness, you are looking at things in a very different way anyway. It's a very different state of awareness. We talk about, you know, synchronicity, for instance, showing up. That's something that's happening to more and more people, and it wasn't really a case, say 20 years ago, it wasn't really something people talked about. And now it's just happening, boom, 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 the whole time. So it's a shift in that whole consciousness. So absolutely, I can really see that from the fifth dimension, it's almost like a jumping off point into a place of just total potentiality. And we hold that in our cells, every single cell. I think we've got, what, 3 trillion or 30 trillion cells in our body, and every single cell has got this tiny little magical place inside it of will it, won't it, you know. Wow.
I thought the concept of the 12 dimensions was confusing as well to people who are just coming into this energy, just coming into this, working with this fifth dimensional consciousness, and all of a sudden people are talking about the 12th dimension, and so what the 9 was saying is, if you want to go out and study these dimensional models and how it relates to the chakras and the DNA, the research is there, the information will come through. But what they're saying is you don't have to.
No, that makes sense.
If you simply want to ride the wave of joy and know that you're in fifth dimensional consciousness, you're automatically going to create these higher 12-stranded templates through the emotional joy of being in fifth density. So you don't have to learn it. But I'm one that does like to know the answers, I have to say. So I would like to ask you something else. So we've got these 12-strand DNA reformation, if you like. The 9 were then saying to me, if you look at the concept of for every action there is an equal and opposite reaction. They're talking here about a mirror, the antimatter mirror. So they're talking about matter and antimatter. If you place the 12-strand DNA in a place of matter, which it isn't because it's quantum and it's antimatter, but say it's in matter, there's a mirror and an equal reaction to everything. Therefore, from that viewpoint, there are 24 DNA strands. Can you explain that concept?
Well, I think it comes down to this, again back to the quantum physics, this situation where you have what's called non-locality, where you don't know where a subatomic particle actually is. It can be in 2 places at the same time. So I think particles are popping in and out of different levels of consciousness and states of being. So it makes perfect sense that you would have a mirror going on in 2 places at the same time. And it depends where your view is coming from as to what you see. Again, it's this holographic way of looking at the universe, that whatever point you start at, you will see into the root. It doesn't matter, because every part of a hologram contains the entire hologram.
That's why the 9 say from one perspective there is a 12-strand DNA. Not 24, 12, and that's truth from that viewpoint. When you shift the viewpoint and you see the mirror, there's 24. They then went on to say, when you're looking from another viewpoint, which is more to do with geometry and DNA, you know, you were talking about vows. Well, in the same way, there are DNA triggers that are global and are extra-terrestrial, that the DNA knows this kind of language. And from that viewpoint, there's 144 DNA strands. It's the 12 and the 24, and somehow that makes 144. I'm not very good at maths. Is that 12 times 12?
Oh, no, I'm not good at maths either. Science, yes, maths, no.
So from that viewpoint, there's 144, meaning there's 144 dimensions. From that viewpoint, so you've got all these people that are saying things like, no, there's 12. Actually, you're wrong. There's actually 24. Sorry, you two, you're both wrong. There's 144. They're all right. They're all correct from these different viewpoints.
They are right, because what is truth? Truth is your personal truth, isn't it? Because if we create reality, we are seeing what we believe to be truth. So you might see, I always you know, think about this, that how do we know everybody sees green as green? It might be that somebody is seeing green but it's actually red. How would we ever know? Because it's shifting sands. You can't ever find the answer to that. That's the big mystery. And actually it's exciting, I think, the fact that we can't all know everything. How boring would that be? Go, oh yeah,
we like the mystery.
10 o'clock in the morning, we're done now, we know everything. What now?
We wouldn't be here,
I don't think so.
We wouldn't be here.
That's right.
So if someone says to you, the sacral chakra is pale orange, that's the colour it is, and someone else says, actually the sacral chakra is dark orange, it's dark, and then someone else says, actually the sacral chakra is purple, which one of those people's right?
All of them. Absolutely all of them. Yeah, it's their reality, not mine. So, you know, I don't work with... what I do when I'm working is I take myself completely out of the space. All I am is just a reader, if you like, of what I see in front of me, and then we apply whatever I get from the energy field. But so I don't put myself in that space. So
you would aid someone in empowering their own subjective reality?
Oh, most definitely.
And you work with that framework? Yeah,
it's most definitely about empowering people to be the best that they possibly can be and to find that internal truth, that guidance system. That's what Life Retuning is all about. Yeah.
Excellent. So trust your own resonance, trust your own imagery.
Yes.
It doesn't have to be what you've read in a book or what someone else has told you. It comes from you and your link.
Yeah, go out there and do it yourself. That's the best way to gain experience and to know your own truth.
Excellent. Well, I have to say on a personal level, you've helped me when you've done retunes with me. When I've had a day where I've had a lot of high-level work to do, and I am moving through, like many people, my own health issue, which is going really, really well. But sometimes I have these days where I have sort of, you know, shadow aspects of my health issue, and it comes back, and it's wonderful because in the past I might not be able to work for a whole month or maybe 2 weeks, whereas now with your help I've been able to get through my issues in a day or 2 days, sometimes hours.
Yeah.
So I know that it works. I've personally worked with you this way, and I just think what you're doing is absolutely fantastic. I want to thank you so much for letting me interview you today, and I wish you all the best in your work, because it's you are a wizard, that's for sure. That's for sure.
Thank you. Well, it's been delightful being interviewed by you, and I'm really, really pleased to have had the opportunity to be able to talk about this and really allow other people into what I'm doing, and hopefully it's going to spread and spread and spread. That's the plan.
Yes, I really believe it will. So
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.